that information comes out.
Are you with Forest Hills or Cincinnati?
It'll be West
West
Claremont.
Claremont?
You'll usually get a postcard from West Claremont, usually about the first full week of August.
Okay.
Usually doing that.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I know this sounds confusing, but I will have cones up in the parking lot for like the first month of school. Just follow the cones, follow the cars in front of you. Don't panic. Everybody's going through a first-time car line in previous years. It always works out to make sure your child gets to the right room. There will be a lot of staff out there and a lot of cones out there to direct you exactly to where you need to go. So, yes.
So for dismissal, there's no car line?
Correct. Yes. So we're able to very quickly go through car line. In some schools, it's a 20 to 30 minute process, but we get all the cars. Our parking lot is big enough to hold every one of our car riders. So you park your car, you get out, every student is dismissed, every car rider student is dismissed at the same time. You will come up to the front entrance of the school to get your child, walk them to your car, and then you're free to go. Yes?
If we have a preschooler and a school-age kid?
Yes, that is my next point. Do a lot of people have a preschooler and yes, more than a handful. So for those families, the easiest way to do it is to come up to the main school lot, drop off your K through 8 student, then you'll turn right back onto Beachmont, and then you'll go down, enter our lower level lot, and do our park for preschool drop off, and walk them into the gym lobby, the PC lobby. That is the easiest way. Now, in about a month, or maybe longer than that, if your oldest child is a kindergartner, you don't have to do the drop off up top. Once you feel your child is independent enough to walk from that lower level to the kindergarten classroom, you are welcome to do that. I would not encourage the kindergarten students to do that for the first month or so. They don't know the building quite as well. We don't have in the path that they would travel from the PC gym up to the kindergarten hallway. There may not be staff supervision there to walk them up. So I would at least wait for the first month if you have a kindergarten child and also a preschool student. But after that, you're welcome to do one drop off down in the lower level lot, which should save you a lot of time. It's easier to do the K to 8 drop off first rather than the preschool drop off first because you are not allowed to turn left from the lower level lot onto Beachmont Avenue. So we're not supposed to. And at that time, it's nearly impossible to turn left. That's the same time that McNick is starting. There's buses that are coming in that lot as well. So the easiest way is to do the kindergarten to 8th grade, drop off first, and then get back out on Beachmont to do the preschool PK drop off. Yes?
How do the kindergartners get to after school?
Yes, that's a really good question. So the teachers will hold back all of the aftercare students. So we dismiss the bus riders first. We dismiss the car riders second. Aftercare will go down to this undercroft after both of those groups have already left. So for the primary students, typically about 10 students in every class. 5 to 10 students in every class will be using aftercare. So one of the teachers will walk that group down to the undercroft for aftercare. Yes?
Just to piggyback off of that, the extended day, you can choose certain days of the week. It's not a set like that.
Absolutely. So what you'll do initially is fill out the registration packet. There's a fee associated with that. We like to know a general schedule, whether it's every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday through Friday. But we also are very flexible. The general schedule allows us to properly staff aftercare. Typically it's between either 2 or 3 staff members that we need. If we know ahead of time that every Tuesday there's going to be 75 students instead of 45 students, then we'll add staff to that day. But even on an emergency basis, if you thought your child was going to go home on the bus and a meeting at work came up, some other obligation came up and you needed to change, just call the school office before 2 o'clock and say that your child needs to go to aftercare. We'll make sure that they get that message and get sent to aftercare. But we're very flexible with aftercare. Billing for aftercare is done after you attend for that day. The aftercare employees take attendance. They have a master sheet of everybody who's registered. They check off the day that you were here, and then they give that list to the business office. And then they will add those associated fees to your fax account after your child has already attended for that day. Great question. One other point that's happens occasionally in regards to bus transportation, if you live in Forest Hills, your child cannot ride any other bus. If you live in Cincinnati, your child cannot ride any other bus. The time that this comes into play is if your first grade child is good friends with Johnny, your family lives in the Forest Hills district, but Johnny lives in the Cincinnati district, and you want him to go home together, they don't allow that to happen. So there is no, you can only ride the bus that is of the district in which you reside. So keep that in mind as you're planning play dates for your children, things like that. If you want them to go home on the bus with somebody else, that person must live in the same district as you. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough. And the bus driver will recognize that your child is not part of that typical route, and they will not be allowed to ride. So please just know that ahead of time that you can only be transported on the public school district bus in which you reside.
You want to make sure that if you are having your son or daughter ride home with another student within that district, that you write a note or type up a note and have it signed, and your student bring it in to the school office to sign it and give it back to them because the bus driver requires that.
Good point. Yes?
My daughter will be on the Milford bus. Will they be doing other pickups or drop-offs at other schools, like with IHM or?
That typically does not happen. Last year, and it can change year to year, but last year the Milford bus came straight to Guardian Angels. The only bus last year that stopped at another school was West Claremont. They stopped at IHM and switched buses.
Great question. We do have a hot lunch program available for students. I always tell families, I probably said this on the tour, that about half the students purchase and half the students pack every day. Papa John's Day is traditionally Thursday, and I think 90% of us students purchase on that day. Aldi's will announce their menu about a month ahead of time, and we'll keep that on our website as well. Very simple. Get an account with Aldi's. You add money directly, electronically through their website. You select the day that you want your child to purchase, and that meal is ready for them when they get down to the cafeteria. If you forget, call the school. We'll make it work. Every child will be fed every day, even if they forget something. So if your child forgets a lunch, they'll be well taken care of here. But in general, I would encourage you to go ahead and set up your Aldi's account. And we'll include their handbook as soon as that's available from them. Medication and health concerns. If you have not met Elizabeth Piles yet, she's our school nurse. She's the best of the best when it comes to school nurses. She has a daughter here who's going to be an 8th grader this year. She will very well take care of your child. So please get to know her. And she really views her relationship with you as a partnership. So some families get to know her more than others. but she will take such great care of your child if he or she ever becomes ill. There's a couple pieces that I want to highlight with medication and health concerns. If it's at all possible, have your child take medication at home. We know that this is not always possible. We know that some ADH medications or other forms of medications require a booster halfway through the day, and Elizabeth manages all of that. But if it is at all possible, have your child take the medication at school or at home. If you do need to take your child to take medication, you have to fill out a request for medication by school personnel that has to be on file. In addition to that, there is a prescriptions medication form and an over-the-counter medications form in order for us to have permission to give medication to your child. So even as something as simple as a Tylenol or Advil, we have to have an over-the-counter medication form filled out in order to give that to your child if it is needed. Prescription medications is very similar to the over-the-counter, but we have to have that form signed by a pediatrician or another physician. Those forms are all found on our school website. There is a health section to our website. Additional information in these forms can all be found on that part of the website. Same thing with asthma and food allergies. If you know that your child has an allergy or asthma, please fill out the appropriate form online and submit that to Elizabeth Piles for her records. School communication and news. The biggest advice to stay informed of what's going on at Guardian Angels is to read the Wednesday Herald. Sarah Reel is our marketing and communications director. She's been here for a year now and does a fantastic job organizing the Wednesday Herald on a weekly basis. She also is responsible for all of our social media platforms. So please get on all of our social media if you haven't done so already. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we have accounts for all of those social media sites. And then again, read the Wednesday Herald. If you read the Wednesday Herald, you will know almost everything that is going on school-wide. So I strongly, and I know as a parent myself who has children in a Catholic school that those come in every Wednesday and it's easy to forego. But reading that in detail every week should only take a few minutes, and it will keep you very well informed of all of the happenings that are going on as a school, as a whole school. Teachers will typically also send weekly communications, especially the primary teachers. 4th through 8th grade is a little bit more sporadic with their communications, but all of our primary teachers we ask to send home a weekly newsletter. So read those pieces of information that are sent. If you receive an email from me, it is something important. I try to avoid sending informational emails that could be put in the Herald. I try very hard to make it meaningful if I send an all-school email. So please know that if you receive an email from me that's addressed to the school, it is because something important is needed to be communicated to you. Not that every email isn't important, but just know that it is very intentional in how we communicate within the school administration.
The Wednesday Herald, the last one was on May 24th. So if you had already enrolled prior to that, you should have been receiving the Wednesday Herald. If you weren't, let me know, and I can make sure that you're added. And then over the summer, there's no Wednesday Herald, so we'll start back up in the beginning of August. So don't be alarmed if you're not in.
The extended day care program, aftercare, we talked a little bit about that. Just know that it's available every day until 6 p.m. Like I said, you'll need to register to begin, but after that, you can use it as needed. It does not have to be a fixed schedule. However you need to use that program. The great thing about aftercare is staffed fully by either current or former guardian angels teachers. Mrs. Kapp was a secondary teacher here for 20-some years, 30 years. Mrs. Kristen was here for equally a long period of time. They love our children, they love our angels, and will do such a great job of taking care of them. They typically are in either the undercroft or outside. So if you pull in and you notice your child is outside, you can sign them out directly from being outside. They don't have to come back in here to be signed out. So they typically start with snacks down here. For the older students, they try to get their homework done. That way they're not coming home at 6 and still having another hour and a half of homework to do. They try to get that taken care of while they're here. And then they get outside. If it's nice, they will be outside. We do separate for those families who have children in PK preschool. We are required to separate that program from our kindergarten through 8th grade program. So if you're picking up, if they're outside, the kindergarten through 8th grade is typically over at the main school playground, and the preschool students are typically at the preschool playground. So very excitingly, just recently we received a pretty significant grant for preschool playground. So we're looking to make some enhancements to that over the next few months. So we're very excited for that. We grew so much as a preschool. We started with 7 students. Now we have 76 in a wait list, and the preschool playground has needed to expand as we grew as well. So we're fortunate to receive that grant. Yes.
What if you're unsure if you need the extended day program? Do you have to register at the beginning of the year?
No.
Can you register?
You can register at any time. Yeah.
Perfect.
Doing so in advance, though, even if it's just a day or so in advance, is ideal. But we know that emergency situations come up, and if there's truly an emergency and you know that you can't get the child until 5 p.m. and you have not registered for aftercare, we'll make it work. Ideally, we have advance notice, but know that we'll always make sure your child is safe. Yes?
Similar to that, if for the bus schedule, do we need to sign up for that now, and then is there obviously you should know at the start of the school year, but is there a
For the-
deadline for that, for like Forest Hill bus school? Busing school?
Do you want to take that, Melissa?
So for Forest Hills, there should have been an email that you should have received, that there's a form that you have to complete on the Forest Hills Transportation website in order to have that. You can get it with me and I can go to that email.
The final section to cover is very important, and it kind of goes with what we talked about before. We're always on the work to make sure your child is safe, whether that is driving cautiously in the parking lot, or how we do recess and the playground in general. Another piece of our school safety is parent volunteers and background checks. This is an archdiocesan policy that all schools within the Archdiocese of Cincinnati are required to follow it, and we make 0 exceptions when it comes to our safe parish child protection program. So in order for you to volunteer to interact with students, whether that is going on a field trip or being a classroom volunteer, you have to go through the Archdiocese of Cincinnati's background check program. There's a few different pieces to it. First, you will need to go through what's called the Safe Parish program. It is an online child protection program that takes about an hour to an hour and a half to complete. One time you have to do that. As part of that process, you will have to have an electronic background check completed. So those two kind of go hand in hand. And then the third requirement, which is an ongoing requirement for all volunteers, all staff members, all clergy, is that you will be sent a quarterly bulletin. That quarterly bulletin will take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. It's a video where you'll watch for a few minutes. You'll ask you a question based upon what you just watched. Watch a little bit more, answer another question, etc. And then we'll complete the training. If a classroom is scheduled to go on a field trip and you volunteer, that teacher will send your name to our Safe Parish coordinator for our parish. And we confirm that that person has gone through the proper background and is current on the bulletins. So if you miss a bulletin by 1 day, they give you 30 days to do it. If you're 1 day out of compliance, you cannot go on that field trip. So please, even if you're considering volunteering, go ahead and do that during the summertime now. You go through the training once, and that is it. Background check, electronic background check, you go through that once. And then the quarterly bulletins, you'll get an email for those. But go ahead and do that now. Some of our primary grades go on field trips in September. You must be Safe Parish trained in order to attend with your child. So cannot emphasize enough, something we take exceptionally seriously. We make no exceptions to our child protection program. Please, I encourage you to go ahead and do that now versus waiting until later. So that is the end of the formal presentation. We'll have questions next before either going up to the parking lot or checking out the used uniform. And Molly McCall is back there. She is our PTA president. We thank her for being here tonight. PTA does such a great job of connecting and really building a bridge between the parents, the teachers, your students. They plan some outstanding events throughout the year. They are so generous to the teachers. And Molly is back there tonight, not only to walk us through the used uniform, to potentially give you some used uniform items, but also to answer any questions you have about PTA. So we want this to be your family. So please be as active as you possibly can. Another opportunity, we're always looking forward to also speaking of volunteer opportunities. Lunchroom doesn't sound like the most glorious job. It probably isn't the most glorious job, but you'll get to meet new families and to see, this changes like 7th and 8th grade, but to see your young child, your kindergarten, first, second, third grader space when they come down to the cafeteria and see that you're volunteering. It's so special to them. So we'll have a sign of genius, Heather. We'll create that sign of genius and send to you. Sign up for it. Meet new families. It's really simple. You're opening way too many Go-Birds and there's juices that will probably spill on you. Wiping down tables after the group leaves, making sure they're clean for the next group. It's 2 hours whenever you can do it, and you'll enjoy doing it. So please consider that and sign up through the Sign Up Genius if you are able to help us. Any other questions before we head upstairs? Yes?
Cell phones, what's the policy for like?
Okay, great question. So we do allow students to have cell phones in the building. We require that they are off throughout the school day. We also ask for the 4th through 8th grade students to have lockers, to have their cell phones in their lockers at all times. If students choose to not follow that rule, then we take the phone, and then the parents will have to come to the school to pick that up. We do allow them. The reason that we allow them is so many of our students have after-school activities. They'll be going straight from the end of the day to volleyball practice, and they'll need to call mom or dad after volleyball practice is over in order to pick them up. But during the school day, 7:30 until 3:15, they have to be off, and then they cannot be in their possession throughout the day. Yes?
If you're certified through a different school, you have to transfer that.
That will be transferred. There's an email address on here. It is safeenvironment@gaparish.org. Email that you want to transfer, and she'll take care of it. That email address goes to our business manager, Mark Gully, and also to Joan Schoenhoff, who works in the There is a fee associated with the Safe Parish training and the electronic background check. If you email safeenvironment@gaparish.org ahead of time, they will give you a token that will cover the cost of that for you. The church, we want you to volunteer. We appreciate you so much that we cover that cost for you. Yes?
In the third grade letter from the table, it mentions a reading book and also a math workbook that's due to first day of school. Where did you get that?
That is a great question. So every child should have a summer reading book and a summer math book. Generally, the teachers will collect those math books at the beginning of the year. Some grade levels take it for a completion grade. Some just kind of browse through it. And then there should also be some book that the children should read. In the last Wednesday Herald, which was part of the packet that was on your chair, that lists every grade level that is required and what the book is. It should also list the website that you can order the Simple Solutions math book. And you don't have to go through Simple Solutions. I think Amazon has it as well. That ordering information and the title of the book is listed in that last Wednesday Herald. I will also communicate that information again as part of my newsletter that I send at the end of June. So in 2 weeks, I'll be sending that reminder for everybody. Yes?
If I were to get an idea of how long my kid may be on the bus, would I call the actual force school bus?
Call the yes. We don't have that information exactly. We overhear hearsay here and there. The Forest Hills, their transportation department is phenomenal. So easy to work with. Melissa has gotten to know both the director and the administrative assistant there for